Hi guys, so today I'm going to be taking a look at some more of your tracks that you've sent me in. I've still got quite a lot to go through, and as I said, don't worry if I've not got your track in today's video. I'll certainly either in another video or I'll certainly send you an email giving feedback on your track. So today I'm going to look at get as many tracks in as possible. Give you some feedback on the tracks, any ways that I think you might be able to improve them. And again, I will look at melodies, transitions, I'll look at the arrangements, and again, I'll look at mixing. I know last time I said I'll look at mastering as well, but I'm going to drop that out because I think mixing and mastering are very, very similar. So just before I get started, I've got up in front of me here my SoundCloud page. So I go under, for synthwave stuff, I go under the name of Retro Thunder. So if you want to jump over and give me a like, you can check out some of my stuff. I've got quite a few tracks on there. I've got some bootlegs on there as well. Johnny Cash remix. This is one of my favourite remixes. My remix of Axel F. Some Bon Jovi remixes on there. Most of the tracks that I release, I stick on here as well. So yeah, feel free to head over and give me a like and listen to a few of my tracks. And let me know what you think of them. So moving on then. So I'll give this track a play through, and then we'll go and have a listen back to it and see what we think of it. Okay, yep, so nice track overall, some nice melodies in there, plenty of sort of retro sound. A couple of things I would say is when it drops into, when the lead stops and it just drops into like the verse part, I would maybe bring the hats in there rather than bring them in when the lead comes back in. So bring the hats in here, and then it's only the lead kicking in by itself. So with regards to the lead, the sort of brass sound you've got, it's very dry and very loud in the mix. So what we'll do is I'll bring it back in volume so it's sitting just on top of the mix, and I will give it plenty of reverb on that, and it'll sit in the mix nicely, and you'll be able to hear the other elements working with it. But again, an overall a very good track. So great melodies in there. There's transitions. There's a few transitions here and whatnot. Maybe make the little tom fills a little bit louder there. The arrangement's pretty good. I mean, we've only got 2 minutes, so we would need, you'd probably need to be aiming for at least 3 minutes, or roughly around 3 minutes, to make it sort of radio friendly. And then mixing, everything sounds spot on. Maybe the kick may be a little bit loud, but I mean, if it sounds good for you, then I'll maybe keep it. It's just it does sound a little bit loud for me. But once you bring the melody back in the mix and reverb on it, the kick mic's sitting there nicely. Yep, so that's it really for this track. Let's move on to the next one. So next one here, we've got Crimson Sunset, and he wanted me to listen to Miami Nightclub 1982. So I'll give this a playthrough. Nice pick. I'll give it a playthrough, and then we'll have a listen to it. Okay, so quite a long track there. So again, we've got some nice melodies in there. There's a bell sound that sort of comes in at about 1:30 and repeats sort of throughout the track. I think that's a nice pattern, a great sound as well in there, so that's good. One thing I'll say is the mix down itself needs a lot of work. We've got a lot of elements in there. A lot of them are clashing together. There's a lot of distortion. One thing I will look at is the drums. The drums don't sound very 80 sort of synthwave. They're more along the sort of EDM sort of style there, maybe even tropical house. I would certainly take a look at that. Maybe go for a kick that's a bit lighter. You've got a very, very heavy kick there. Now the start of the track, too much kicks in. You've got literally everything kicking in together. You don't want that. You want to strip it down, maybe bring in a clap and the bass line, and then build the elements up in the track. The track goes on for quite a bit. We've got 5 minutes there, 5.5 minutes, and there's not much happening. At one point there, I counted near 2 minutes of the same thing playing over and over. So we need to strip the track right down, strip it down, build the elements up at the start of the track, and then have maybe 16 bars of everything in together, and then we drop back down into another breakdown. The pads at the start are way too loud. Again, we'll need to look at the mix here. So mix, I would certainly bring the pad down in the mix. I would certainly bring everything back down in the mix. Drop it all back down to 0. Start with your kick. Look at the mixing video that I did. Start with the kick and bring everything up. Bring everything up from there. So you start with your kick and let's get rid of that. Start with the kick and bring everything up from there, because there is quite a few mixing clashings there, and everything sounds quite distorted. So bring it all down, bring it in one at a time, get rid of a lot of the stuff. There's a lot of stuff playing in there that we don't need. We could maybe split this into 2 tracks. Definitely with distorted sound, and the mix is very mono sounding, so everything sounds sort of in the middle. We need to get stuff wider, get your pads wider, get your hats panning from left to right, get everything nice and wide, get your leads with reverb on them and delay, stereo delay and ping pong delay, get stuff wider. And like I said, once we strip some things back in the mix will sound a lot better. So that's one of the things that we need to work on there. You've got too much going on, and sometimes less is more. So that's certainly some of the things that I would look at in the mix. So moving on. So this is Alex. This is Outlook. We'll give it a spin through, and then we'll have a little chat about it. Okay, so we got a nice track there from Alex. We've got some nice transitions in there. The arrangement's spot on. Great start to the track. What I would say is at the start of the track, you've got your riffs. You've got a sidechain on them. I would take the sidechain off and I would let the sidechain kick in when the kick kicks in. So let it play without the sidechain. I would say that the riffs at the start, let's maybe add a bit more ping pong delay to it. And maybe a bit more reverb to it as well. Just to make it sit sort of a little bit further back, if that makes sense. I would maybe bring about 40 seconds and a second ARP comes in, which sounds great, but at that point I would maybe add a drone pad underneath that, following sort of the bass line notes, or even bring the bass line in there, but filter it down and then have it filtering up and let it open up fully once, at the part of the track that you have it opening up. The kick is very flumpy. I'd say there's maybe reverb on it. I would take the reverb off. I would maybe look at the kick again. I would maybe even change that kick. It's very a very flumpy sound, like it's echoing. If you're using FL Studio, sometimes in FL Studio, for example, this can change to sort of auto, and the kick sounds very wishy-washy. So if that's the case, if you load up your kick sample in FL Studio and it says auto, what you need to do is change it back to resample and then drag the time right down to 0. Make sure the time is not up. Make sure this time is not up, and it will bring it back to its normal pitch. So that's one of the things that if you are using FL Studio, maybe wrong with the kick. If not, I would definitely look at replacing the kick in the track. At 2:30, you've got a drop down and a pad comes in. Now the pad seems like it's just one note playing at a time. I would maybe change that into a chord. If you want to know a little bit about chords, I did a little tutorial on writing melodies. You have a look in there and it shows you a little bit about chords. So you may be able to build that into a chord there. It's just, with it being one note, it just sounds very, very plain. But overall, some great sounds in there. So that's a couple of things that I would definitely look at. So some nice melodies, some nice transitions. Mixing, I would look at the mixing a little bit. And then the arrangement is more or less spot on. So next we've got a Maximum Turbodrive with They Won't Stay Dead. I'll give it a quick playthrough. Okay, something a little bit darker there from Maximum Turbo Overdrive. Very nice track. It reminds me very much of like a boss fight from like an old Mega Drive game. So we've got some nice drums in there, some great drum patterns, some nice fills to sit very nicely in the mix. there's one of the riffs. It's like a seesaw pattern. There, that one there. It's going like the start of Ghostbuster Batman. I will maybe remove that part out of the mix, or maybe look at changing the notes around a little bit. It does clash a little bit with some of the notes in the track. 1 minute 9 seconds. You've got a nice drop, nice bass change. I like that. That fits nicely in the track. One thing I'd say as well is when listening back to it, a lot of the sounds I can have a lot of bass in them. So any of the melodies and leads, like I showed you in yesterday's video, I will certainly go back in and cut all the EQ that you don't need out of it. And you will notice that the mix will sound a lot cleaner and clearer once you do that. So go in and all your synths, so apart from your bass line, everything else, apart from your bass line and your kick, everything else you need to cut out the bottom frequencies that you don't need in there. Again, it's 2 minutes long, some great melodies in there, nice transitions. Mixing, again, go in and cut the melodies out. The low frequencies out of the melodies, and the arrangement seems spot on. It's only a sort of 2 minute work in progress, but again, a nice track. Okay, so now we'll move over to some tracks that were sort of emailed over. One of the tracks I've got is called Chillin, and this is from Jerry, so I'll give us a quick playthrough. Okay, I'm not too sure what's going on there with the glitching. I'm not sure what's happening there. Anyway, so nice track overall. Great transitions, great arrangement. Mixing's more or less spot on. A couple of things I would say. You've got nice harp to start with, nice drums. There's also an harp that comes in at about 2 minutes, which is very, very nice. Nice bass change and drop at about a minute. One thing I would say is about 30 seconds in, when the harp filters down, you've got like your lead coming in. It sounds very alone in the mix. What I would maybe do is, you've got some pads that come in about 52 seconds. They just come straight in. I'll maybe start them off with that melody, have them filtering up and up and up in the track, and then have them opening up fully, the filter opening up when at 52 seconds when your pads actually kick in. But apart from that, that's about it. I like the middle eight sort of towards the end of it. It is a very nice relaxing track. So I'll just maybe look at a couple of them things there that I've mentioned. But apart from that, it's more or less spot on. So next one, we've got a track called Future 99 from Geckko. Okay, very nice track there from Geckko. Not a lot really to say about this because it's quite good. Mixing is pretty good. The arrangement's more or less spot on. Some nice transitions in there, some great melodies, and I would say the sound selection as well. Some of the sounds you've selected to use for your melodies are absolutely spot on. Some really nice sounds in there. The snare is sitting beautifully in the mix as well. One thing that I would say, well, two things really that I would say is the drop part here. You've got the tom fills as well. I would take those out. I like this when the kick starts, just before it kicks in. You've got like a kick, a four on the floor kick leading up to it. that's when I would bring the drums in. All these tom fills and stuff I would take out, and I'd just leave the track to drop down and give people a rest. I would say as well, sort of here as well, you've got some great melodies in there, but there's just something that you need in the background. So I would maybe go for a pad, maybe a choir pad, quite low in the mix, just playing in the background there. So it's just like, so in between each note hit, when there's a little tiny space, the listener can just about hear the pad playing, and it'll just fill up the rest of the sound for you. But apart from that, it's a nice track, spot on. Well done. So moving on to Miami, Hijacking. Okay, so quite a long track there. I definitely think we could make that track a lot shorter. So let's take a look at what sort of BPM we're looking at here. Okay, so some nice melodies in there. One thing I would say is the track is very, very long. I definitely think we could cut some of the stuff out of this track. This goes on for too long. You could half this, you could half this, you could half this, and you could bring the track down to about 2 or 3 minutes easily. You got quite a lot going on. You got bass, sidechain. The bass is sidechain in the intro. I would take that out. I wouldn't have that. I would only have the sidechain kicking in once the kick kicks in, because the sidechain is there, because the bass and the kick occupy the same frequencies. So you would sidechain the bass so that once the kick hits, the bass doesn't hit, so they're not clashing and sort of distorting your mix. That's really one of the things that sidechain's for. So I wouldn't have the bass sidechaining. I would have the bass normal. Once the kick comes in, then allow the sidechain to kick in and duck the bass from underneath the kick. One of the things I would say. So about 1 minute, there's a nice melody that comes in, but again, there's too much sidechain on it. I would take that sidechain back a little bit. And there's another melody that comes in about 140. It's very mono as well, very dry and mono. So add a bit of reverb, bit of delay, even a bit of chorus, just something to make it a little bit wider. And the ARP that kicks in when this drops down, this ARP, I'm not sure if it's working. I'm not sure the sound, and I'm not sure the notes in it as well. And you've also got a brass that comes in to the track here. It sounds out of place. You could maybe split it into a different track. I mean, I like the pattern that it's playing, but it doesn't fit well with the track. If you wanted to keep it in, one of the things I would say is once the bass comes back in, have the bass notes play the root note of the ARP of the riff, of the brass riff. Otherwise, it doesn't sound right in the track. So the brass is sort of slightly out of place. So I'll look at maybe changing that. Again, I would look at shortening that down. There's too much going. There's not enough going on in the track to have it this long. So this 16 bar loop could go down to 8. This 24 bar loop could go down to 16. Could go down to 12. You could half that down. The breakdown sort of all right, and then the drop comes back in again. I would look at maybe bringing it down. Maybe filtering elements up so that they're not just coming in by themselves. But apart from that, like I said, there's some nice melodies in there. It just needs a little bit more work. So that's it for this sort of feedback video here. We've got through quite a lot today. I hope anyone that's sort of sent tracks in and sort of listened to this, they can use the feedback to improve the tracks. Like I said, any other guys that have sent tracks in, I've still got quite a lot sitting in my inbox. I'm certainly going to get back to those. Any that I've not used in the video, I'll certainly send an email to you and give you feedback on the track itself. I'll do another video in another couple of days. So guys, if you want me to sort of give you feedback on the tracks that you're currently working on, whether it's a work in progress or a fully finished track, if you're just looking for an opinion or anything like that, certainly fire them over. I will leave the email address in the description. So if you just send, again, please guys, send your social media links as well, your SoundClouds, your Facebooks, your Twitters, and below in the description I will put them in there. So if people's listening to the tracks like Hijacking Miami, there's no social media links. So if anyone likes that and wants to hear more from yourself, they can. Because you've not left nothing in the track. I'm not going to give out email address or anything like that. So leave your social media links in. I'll certainly drop them in the description below. And so people can jump over to your channel and have a listen to other stuff you're working on. So that about sums it up for this video, guys. So again, email me your tracks in. And my last video was talking a little bit about maybe doing a live stream. I could even do a live stream, sort of doing this sort of live, listening back to the tracks live on stream. Let me know what you think of that. Let me know whether you think it's worth my time doing some live streams. If you're interested in doing that, me doing some live streams, like I said, whether it's going through production or whether it's delivering feedback like this, leave a comment below, and let me know what time suits you best, when you'd like them, sort of to be, and I'll certainly look at doing some in the future. But for now, guys, thanks for watching.